20, and um, yesterday we read chapters 18 and 19. So, chapter 18, all you need to know is that Saul became furious with David because all the people praised him more than Saul. So Saul goes out and tries to get David killed by giving her wife or to be wife to another man, and then giving another one of her daughters to try to deceive her, but she ends up being loyal to him. And so he tries to basically get David off guard, but that because the Lord is with him, all these attacks fail. So here we go. 19. Um, Jonathan vouches for Uh, Mister. He vouches for David, and David is not to be put to death. So even Saul himself, when David goes to Samuel, he tries to find him, but finds himself prophesying with other messengers he sent. So, chapter 20, David and Jonathan's covenant. Then David fled from Naioth and Ramah, and he came and said to Jonathan, "What have I done? What is my guilt? And what is my sin before your father that he is seeking my life?" He said to him, "Far from it, you shall not die. Behold, my father does nothing either great or small without informing me. So why would my father hide this thing from me? It is not so." Yet David vowed again, saying, "Your father is well aware that I have found favor in your sight." And he has said, "Jonathan is not to know this, otherwise he will be worried. But indeed, as the Lord lives and as your soul lives, there is just a step between me and death." Then Jonathan said to David, "Whatever you say, I will do for you." So David said to Jonathan, "Behold, tomorrow is the new moon, and I am obligated to sit down to eat with the king. But let me go so that I may hide myself in the field until the third evening. If your father misses me at all, then say, 'David earnestly requested leave of me to run to Bethlehem, his city, because it is a yearly sacrifice there for the whole family.' If he says that is good, your servant will be safe. But if he is very angry, be aware that he's decided on evil. So deal kindly with your servant, for you have brought your servant into a covenant of the Lord with you. But if I am guilty of wrongdoing, kill me yourself. For why then should you bring me to your father?" Jonathan said, "Far be it from you. For if I in fact learn that my father has decided to inflict harm on you, would I not inform you?" Then David said to Jonathan, "Who will inform you if your father answers you harshly?" Jonathan said to David, "Come and let's go out to the field." So both of them went out to the field. Then Jonathan said to David, "The Lord, the God of Israel, is my witness. When I have sounded out my father about this time tomorrow or the third day, behold, if he has a good feeling toward you, shall I not then send word to you and inform you? If it pleases my father to do you harm, may the Lord do so to me, and more so, if I fail to inform you and send you away, so that you may go in safety. And may the Lord be with you as he has been with my father. And if I am still alive, will you not show me the faithfulness of the Lord, so that I do not die? And you shall never cut off your loyalty to my house, not even when the Lord cuts off every one of the enemies of David from the face of the earth." So Jonathan made a covenant with the house of David, saying, "May the Lord demand it from the hands of David's enemies." And Jonathan made David vow again because of his love for him, because he loved him as he loved his own life. Then Jonathan said to him, Tomorrow is the new moon, and you will be missed since your seat will be empty. When you have stayed for 3 days, you shall go down quickly and come to the place where you hid yourself on that eventful day, and you shall remain beside the stone Ezel, and I will shoot 3 arrows to the side as though I shot at a target. Then, behold, I will send the boy, telling him, go, find the arrows. If I specifically say to the boy, behold, the arrows are on this side of you, get them, and come, because it is safe for you, and there is nothing to harm you, as the Lord lives. But if I say to the youth, behold, the arrows are beyond you, because the Lord has sent you away, or go, because the Lord has sent you away. As for the agreement of which you and I have spoken, behold, the Lord is between you and me forever. So David hid himself in a field, and when the new moon came, the king sat down to eat food. Now, the king sat on his seat as usual, the seat by the wall. Then Jonathan stood up, and Abner sat down by Paul's side, but David's place was empty. Nevertheless, Saul did not say anything that day because he thought, it must have been an accident. He is not clean. Undoubtedly, he is not clean. But it came about the next day, the second day of the new moon, that David's place was empty again. So Saul said to his son Jonathan, why has the son of Jesse not come to the meal, either yesterday or today? And Jonathan answered Saul, David earnestly requested leave of me to go to Bethlehem. He said, please let me go, because our family has a sacrifice in the city, and my brother has ordered me to attend. So now, if I have found favor in your sight, please let me slip away so that I may see my brothers. For this reason, he has not come to the king's table. Saul is angry with Jonathan. Then Saul's anger burned against Jonathan, and he said to him, you son of a perverse, rebellious woman, do I not know that you are choosing the son of Jesse to your own shame and to the shame of your mother's nakedness? For as long as the son of Jesse lives on the earth, neither you nor your kingdom will be established. Now then, send men and bring him to me, for he is doomed to die. But Jonathan replied to his father Saul and said to him, Why must, why must he be put to death? What has he done? Then Saul hurled his spear at him to strike and kill him. So Jonathan knew that his father had decided to put David to death. Then Jonathan got up from the table in a heat of anger and did not eat food on the second day, because the second day of the new moon, because he was worried about David since his father had insulted him. Now it came about in the morning that Jonathan went out to the field at the time agreed upon with David, and a little boy was with him. He said to his boy, run, find now the arrows which I am about to shoot. The boy ran, and he shot an arrow past him. When the boy reached the location of the arrow which Jonathan had shot, Jonathan called after the boy and said, is the arrow not beyond you? Then Jonathan called after the boy, hurry, be quick, do not stay. And Jonathan's boy picked up the arrow and came to his master. But the boy was not aware of anything. Only Jonathan and David knew about this matter. Then Jonathan gave his weapons to his boy and said to him, go, bring them to the city. When the boy was gone, David got up from the south side. Then he fell on his face to the ground and bowed 3 times. And they kissed each other and wept together until David wept immeasurably. Then Jonathan said to David, go in safety, since we have sworn to each other in the name of the Lord, saying, the Lord will be between me and you, and between my descendants and your descendants forever. So David set out and went on his way, while Jonathan went into the city. Right. So, chapter 19. Um, so Saul is still plotting against David to kill him. So David goes out 3 nights and waits until the word. And those 3 nights represent, perhaps prophetically, very so. Um, they represent when Jesus departs from the life, and then 3 days later he is um, resurrect. He resurrects from the dead, and for that's why it is um, prophetic, because it represents the death and the resurrection of Jesus Christ. Hold on a second. Somebody's ringing the bell. All right, forgive me. But yeah, Saul is after David, and Saul wants to go hunt David. So Jonathan is making this covenant with Jonathan is making this covenant with David. So if 3 arrows are shot past one person from the youth, then he must flee. If it is safe, then they won't be shot past that person. So when Saul is, oh, sorry, chapter 20, not 19, but yeah, basically, Saul is angry at Jonathan for allowing him to escape. So, yeah, that's what happened. So basically, David has to flee. By the way, Jose, God bless you. Welcome in, Jose Fernando. Okay, 21. David takes consecrated bread. Then David came to Nob to Ahimelech the priest, and Ahimelech came trembling in to meet David and said to him, "Why are you alone and no one with you?" David said to the king, to Ahimelech the priest, "The king has commissioned me with a matter and has said to me, no one is to know anything about the matter on which I am sending you and which I have commissioned you, and I have directed young men to a certain place. Now then, what do you have on hand? Give me 5 loaves of bread or whatever can be found." The priest answered David and said, "There is no ordinary bread on hand, but there is consecrated bread. If only the young men had kept themselves from women." David answered and to the priest and said to him, "Be assured, women have been denied to us as previously when I have left the bodies of the young men through work, and the bodies of the young men were consecrated. Though it was an ordinary journey, how much more then will their bodies be consecrated today?" So the priest gave him consecrated bread, for there was no bread there except the bread of the presence, which was removed from its place before the Lord, in order to put hot bread in its place on the day it was taken away. Now, one of the servants of Saul was there that day, detained before the Lord, and his name was Doeg the Edomite, the chief of Saul's shepherds. David said to Ahimelech, now is there no spear nor sword on hand? For I brought neither my sword nor my weapons with me, because the king's matter was urgent." And then the priest said, "The sword of Goliath the Philistine, whom you killed in the valley of Elah, behold, it is wrapped in a cloth behind the ephod. If you would take it for yourself, take it, for there is no other except that here." And David said, "There is none like it. Give it to me." Then David set out and fled that day from Saul, and went to Achish, the king of Gath. But the servants of Achish said, "Is this not David, the king of the land? Did they not sing of this one as they danced, saying, Saul has slain his thousands and David his 10,000s?" David took these words to heart and greatly feared Achish, the king of Gath. So he disguised his sanity while in their sight and acted insanely in their custody. And he scribbled on the doors of the gate and drooled on his beard. Then Achish said to his servants, "Look, you see this man is behaving like an insane person. Why do you bring him to me? Do I lack insane people, that you have brought this one to behave like an insane person in my presence? Shall this one come into my house?" All right, so chapter 21, David takes consecrated bread, except the bread of the presence, and David also takes a sword or a spear, the sword of Goliath the Philistine, whom he killed. And yeah, um, And then he goes to David, or sorry, David goes to Gath, to Achish, and Achish is like, hey, isn't this the guy who killed Goliath? And so he acts insane instead, so to disguise himself from the people. Um, do I like insane people that you have brought this one to me? So yeah, David is on the move. He takes consecrated bread. He takes the sword from Goliath that he used, and then he disguises himself as an insane person to flee from Saul. Be right back. All right, forgive me one last time, folks. Let's see. Chapter 22. Priest killed at Nob or at Nob. Okay. So David departed from there and escaped to his cave, to the cave of Adullam. And when his brothers and his father's household heard about it, they went there down there to him. Then everyone who was in distress, and everyone who was in debt, and everyone who was discontented gathered to him, and he became captain over them. Now there were about 400 men with it. And David went from there to Mizpah of Moab, and he said to the king of Moab, please let my father and my mother come and stay with you until I know what God will do for me. Then he left them with the king of Moab, and he stayed with him all the time that David was in a stronghold. But Gad the prophet said to David, do not stay in the stronghold, leave and go into the hand of Judah. So David left and went to the forest of Hereth. Then Saul heard that David and the men who were with him had been discovered. Now Saul was in Gibeah, sitting under the tamarisk tree, I think tamarind, on the height with his spear in his hand, and all of his servants were standing in front of him. Saul said to his servants who were standing in front of him, hear now, you Benjamites, will the son of Jesse really give all of you fields and vineyards? Will he make you all commanders of thousands and commanders of hundreds? For all of you have conspired against me, so that there is no one who informs me when my son makes a covenant with the son of Jesse. And there is none of you who cares about me or informs me that my son has stirred up my servant against me to lie in ambush, as it is this day. And Doeg the Edomite, who was standing in front of the servant of Saul, responded and said, I saw the son of Jesse coming to Nob or Nob, to Ahimelech the son of Ahitub, and he inquired of the Lord for him, gave him provisions, and gave him the sword of Goliath the Philistine. Then the king sent a messenger to summon Ahimelech the priest, the son of Ahitub, and all his father's household. The priests who were Nob, and all of them came to the king. Saul said, listen now, son of Ahitub. And he said, here I am, my lord. Saul said to him, why have you and the son of Jesse conspired against me, that you have given him a bread and a sword, and you have inquired of God for him? so that he would rise up against me by lying in ambush as it is this day. Then Ahimelech answered the king and said, And who among all your servants is as faithful as David, the king's own son in law, who is commander over your bodyguard and is honored in your house? Did I just begin to inquire of God for him today? Far be it from me. Do not let the king impute anything against his servant or against any of the household of my father, because your servant knows nothing at all of this whole matter. But the king said, You shall certainly die, Ahimelech, you and all your father's household. And the king said to the guards who were attending him, Turn around and put the priests of the Lord to death, because their hand is also with David, and because they knew that he was fleeing and had not informed me. But the servants of the king were unwilling to reach out with their hands to attack the priests of the Lord. Then the king said to Doeg, You turn around and attack the priests. And Doeg the Edomite turned around and attacked the priests, and he killed on that day 85 men who wore the linen ephod. He also struck Nob, the city of the priests, with the edge of the sword, both man and women, and children and infants. He also struck oxen, donkeys, and sheep with the edge of the sword. But the one son of Ahimelech, the son of Ahitub, named Abiathar, escaped and fled to David. And Ahimelech Abiathar informed David that Saul had killed the priests of the Lord. Then David said to Abiathar, I knew on that day when Doeg the Edomite was there that he would certainly tell Saul. I myself have turned against every person in your father's household. Stay with me. Do not be afraid, even though he who is seeking my life is seeking your life, for you are safe with me. The word of the Lord. Praise be to God. Okay. So then, to summarize this, chapter 22, Saul calls up the priest from Nob and inquires, Why have you let him escape and not told me? And so therefore, the priests are like, Look, he's... And then Saul is, You shall certainly die. And so Doeg, who informed um, of David, he kills the priests, 85 priests. So, to summarize, chapter 20 is David and Jonathan make a covenant. After this covenant, David flees. David takes consecrated bread, a sword, and tries to save himself, which the Lord does. And the priests from Nob who conspired, or not conspired, but who saved David from death, are put to death. And now David is going to Saul is going to pursue David in chapter 23. So here we go, folks. Thank you all for watching. Go in peace.